Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm WolfStalker25, and Pokemon Day 2023 has come and gone, and with that, it brought us some interesting and some very exciting new announcements. One of my most excited being the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC announcement, that being the pack called the Hidden Treasure of Area 0, consisting of two DLCs, DLC 1 being the Teal Mask, planned for fall 2023, and DLC 2 being the Indigo Disc, releasing winter 2023. Now, fall 2023, I did look this up, consists of the dates of September 23rd, 2023 through December 21st, 2023. And then we have the winter 2023 DLC, which is the Indigo Disc, which can be anywhere released from December 21st to March 20th, 2024. That is what's considered the winter 2023 release. So that DLC could come out somewhere in 2024. There is a rumored leak saying that the second DLC is supposed to be early 2024. But with the announcement of the DLC, we also got the confirmation of returning Pokemon, which for me is my most exciting thing about the DLCs so far. As we did get 5 new revealed Pokemon, I'm most excited about old Pokemon because I am a big advocate of the national decks. DLC 1, the Teal Mask, is confirmed to have 6 returning Pokemon so far, being Melodic and Vikavolt and Ninetales as some big ones, but we also have Yanma, Shiftry, and Chingling as well, which it's odd that they show them in their beginning stages and not their final forms. That could maybe be a hint that maybe they get a new regional variant evolution, or they just want to show some evolutions that are starters instead of like the final phases. But then the Indigo Disc does have the confirmation of Zebstrika, which is actually his first time coming to the Switch, Whimsicott, Dugong, Esper, Alchemy, and Metagross being my most excited, and one of the only 2 pseudo-legendaries not brought onto the Switch so far. But as with Sword and Shield, the Scarlet and Violet 1.2.0 DLC update, which gives you the ability to purchase the DLC and fixes all the bug fixes, everything like that, also revealed Walking Wake and Iron Leaves, and gave them to us for the event. We also do have confirmation from one of the data miners, Matt, who on screen I do have the tweet he posted. It is saying that just like with Sword and Shield Scarlet and Violet's 1.2.0 patch, Game Freak did not delete all the Pokedex entries from a lot of Pokemon. Instead, they stubbed them, which I guess means that their data is still there. And then he does go on to say that notably all the starter Pokemon from past games are here, except for the 2 Unova ones, minus Samurott, because Samurot's already confirmed to be transfer only, and this also consists of none of their legendaries, so take that with what you will. That could potentially mean that maybe we have a Unova game on the horizon. Who knows? Maybe it's the next game. There's also rumor of a new Switch model or a new Switch successor coming out. But firstly, we need to talk about all these Pokemon previously that we did have announced and revealed as in data mined for transfer only Pokemon. 106 of them. You'll see them in this list here. But let's get into it. The Generation 1 returning Pokemon that we have are all these right here. We have the Bulbasaur line and the Squirtle line coming back. Previously, we had the Charizard line, which anything highlighted in green is rumored or data mined for what should be coming in the DLC. Then we have the Ekans and Arbok line, which is actually their first time in a game that is not a remake or whatnot, being like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee or BDSP, because these weren't in Sword and Shield. We have the Clefairy line, the Sandshrew line, the Vulpix line, well, the Ninetales line, and do note that we aren't 100% sure whether or not the Alolan forms of both Sandshrew and like Ninetales and any Galarian forms, like with Weezing down there or whatnot, or any other generations. We don't know 100% if those are coming, but as we could see from the non-highlighted guys like the Alolan Meowth and the Galarian Slowpoke and Slowbro and Alolan Raichu, they're all confirmed as transfer only, so I would assume that if the Vulpix Ninetale line, which we have confirmed being coming, I would assume the Alolan forms are coming as well. But we also have the Vileplume line, Poliwrath, Victory Bell, the Cantonian Tentacruel. Well, I guess the Toadscruel isn't really a form. I guess it's different. We have the Golem line, which we did see in the actual Presents video. Doduo. Now, one thing to note here, I'm going to have an image pop up on screen right now. This is the World Championship 2023 poster. As you can see on this poster, now granted, the World Championship does consist of other things besides just the video games, but as you can see on the poster, everything on here does show all the new Pokemon, stuff like that found in Scarlet and Violet. But a little thing on the right, we do see a sleeping Farfetch, so that brings me to believe, and other people to believe. Now, granted, that could just be a Japanese thing or something like that, since it's being held in Japan. So maybe that's why Farfetch is down there. But he's not in here, but we do see a red box. Farfetch and Galarian Farfetch could also be a transfer or returning Pokemon in the DLC, and maybe it's just not in that data of things taken out. It's a good chance that they don't consist of there, but we also have the Doduo line, Seal line, Execute, the Hitmons, Weezing, Rhyhorn, Horsey, Electabuzz and Magmar, Lapras, Porygon, and Snorlax. And then all the other ones, we have the legendaries, the Cantonian Tauros, and the other forms of Pokemon. So pretty exciting. We have 83 potential returning Pokemon here. I think it's technically 81 if the Farfetches don't return. Then we have Generation 2 returning Pokemon, being all of the starters. Previously, we only thought Typhlosion was going to be in, but now we have confirmation of Chikorita and Totodile. Technically, their first time premiering on the Switch besides BDSP, so this is your first ability to use them in a new region. Very excited about that. We have the Sentret line, Hoothoot, Spinarak, Chinchou, Cleffa, Blossom, Politoed, Apom, Yanma, Gligar, Snubbull, the Slugma line, Swinub, Skarmory, Kingdra, Porygon 2, Smargle, Tyrogue, and Elekid and Magby. So very exciting bit here. We have a couple as well that this is their first time being on the Switch besides BDSP. So it's very exciting to get them in a game like this. Generation 3 returning. All the green guys. Previously, we only knew of Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza. A little disappointed the Reggies aren't returning, but we do have the starters. We have Poochyena, which I think he might have been in Sword and Shield, but maybe not. This might be his first game outside of BDSP. Lotad, Seedot, Nosepass, Plusle Volbeat, Illumise, Trapinch, Corphish, Melodic, which we do have 100% confirmed because they revealed it, Duskull, Chimecho, and the Metagross line. Very exciting about them. We have 38 returning there. Generation 4, we have all the starters. Very excited about that. There's actually not a lot of Gen 4 returning. A lot of them are left out probably because Legends and BDSP just happened, which is a little disappointing personally. I don't like any Pokemon being left out of games. It's a little bit of a shame, especially with some of the Pokemon already having higher texture quality from Legends from Gen 4. So I wish they would have been included, all of them. But we do have the starters, which is nice. The fossils, which is surprising, being the only fossils returning out of any generation, which is a little odd. But they were also left out of Sword and Shield, so previously that would have only allowed them in BDSP and Legends Arceus. So it's nice to get them in a game that has like competitive battling online and stuff like that. We have Ambipom, Jingling, I think is its name, Munchlax, Rhyperior, Electivire. Very excited about that. Can't wait to see the new textures on him. Magmortar, Yanmega, Gliscor, first time besides BDSP on the Switch. Very excited about Gliscor. I love Gliscor personally. Mamoswine, Probopass, Porygon Z, Dusknoir, and then we have all the legendaries there. Again, we're missing Darkrai and Shaman, and I'm very disappointed with no Darkrai. He's probably one of my favorite Pokemon ever. Gen 5. Now this is an interesting one. Both the starters are left out, which brings a lot of people and myself to believe that we are getting Unova games at some point, because the Generation 4 starters were left out of Sword and Shield, being one of the only gens besides Gen 2 as well. So I'm wondering if, obviously, we're getting Black and White something, Legends Kyurem, Legends Unova, Black and White 1 remakes, Black and White 2 remakes, something along those lines probably is coming within the next couple years. If we do have to wait till a generation, we might get it maybe before Gen 10, because sometimes they like to do, there's a pattern where the gens get released with their double, was what we've seen so far, so we should see a Gen 5 remake in Gen 10. But if they wait to do Gen 10 until the 30th anniversary, we have 3 years to wait, so I don't know. But we have Blitzel, first time on the Switch, Drillbur, Timber, the Swadloon, or Swaddle line, or whatever, Leaviani, that's its first time on the Switch as well. Cottonee and Whimsicott coming back. We have the Hisuian forms there. Scraggy's coming back. More Hisuian forms. Mincino, and Cincino. Solus line, which its rival opposite line being the Gothitelle line, is in the game, so it's kind of cool to see them coming back. Ducklet and Swanna, first time on the Switch. Joltik, Litwick line, the Mienfeud line, Golurk, very excited about that, and we have the Mandibuzz line as well. And also, none of their legendaries from this generation are coming, besides the Genies, which were in Legends Arceus, so they're allowing them here, and Meloetta. So, interesting. 45 returning Pokemon from Gen 5. Generations 6 and 7 being on the same sheet, because there's not very many of each. We already have confirmation, and we know that all the starters are coming back, because they're transfer only. For Gen 6, we have Esper coming back, Inkay coming back, and the Trevenant line coming back. So, not very many. Most of Gen 6 was kind of already in the game to begin with, but there's a couple big notable guys being left out of this gen, specifically being like Aegislash and whatnot. I don't remember. I think it's legendaries are actually left out as well. I don't have them on this picture, so we might be leaving out those legendaries as well. Then we have Generation 7 being the return of all the starters, and confirmation now that Incineroar and Primarina are coming back. So VGC players, I'm sorry, Incineroar is going to ruin your life again. But happy note thing here is Toucannon gets its first premiere on the Switch. Then we have Vikavolt, Rabambe, Araquanid's line, Comfey, and the first time as well of the return of Minior, being one of the longest running Pokemon now that hasn't been in a Pokemon game, being since 2017, so he was left out for a long time. And then we have the Como line coming back as well, which is very exciting because Como is the second of the two pseudo-legendaries not allowed in the game, being him and Metagross, so him coming back very nice, being all the other dragons from the pseudos are in the game. And then we have Megira now. So again, no legendaries or Ultra Beasts from this generation coming back. Very kind of disappointing. But Generation 6 has 22 returning Pokemon. Generation 7 has 26. And then lastly being Generation 8 for their returning Pokemon. That is being all the starters, which we already know. And then the new ones being Cramorant, Milcery, and Alchemy, Morpeko, and Duraludon, which is kind of nice. And then the rest being all their legendaries and mythicals. And then all the Hisuian Pokemon that come from Legends Arceus, being all the new ones, and like Enamorus and stuff like that. One little thing I do have off the side is Sirfetch'd. If Farfetch'd somehow does end up being in because of that poster, we could also see Sirfetch'd as well if they allow Galarian Farfetch'd in. So pretty interesting, pretty exciting. With that though, there are a couple Pokemon that I do want to talk about really quick, being the first timers on the Switch, and the ones that are still not on the Switch. That being the Zebstrika, the Leavanny line, Swanna line, Ducklet, whatever its final evolution is, I'm actually forgetting the name, Toucannon and Minior. That's their first time on the Switch, and we still have some that are not on the Switch at all, being Superior, Emboar's line, Watchog's line, or Patrat, which they haven't been allowed in the game for a while, and then we have all the elemental monkeys, and then Furfrou, which is actually very disappointing because you can't get all the Furfrou forms unless you're playing Pokemon Go. If you're doing a living deck, it's kind of unfortunate for you guys. But yeah, so, and then we have total returning Pokemon, that being 323, 214 returning through DLC, that being the green highlighted ones, and then we have 126 returning through transfer only that we previously knew about. Then there's also the 3 additional Pokemon, being the Farfetch'd line and the Sirfetch'd as well. Those could be not included, so potentially 320 returning Pokemon. Now, this is less Pokemon if you count them, significantly less Pokemon if you count things like Sandslash and Sandshrew with their forms being only 1 Pokemon. Then we have some less than 300. But yeah, total 323 returning. There are some big hitters noticeably still missing, and let's talk about them really quick right now. Because as everyone else has already done their returning Pokemon videos, I haven't done it yet, but I wanted to talk about and discuss all the missing Pokemon. So we have a lot of missing here. The Butterfree line, Beedrill line, anything highlighted in red has not been featured in a game outside of BDSP or Legends, or not Legend, BDSP, Legends, or Let's Go so far, so they haven't seen an actual new generation yet as of right now. So Beedrill being a big noticeable one, and Pidgeot not allowed anywhere, which is kind of disappointing. But the really big noticeable guys missing that have not come back are obviously all the fossils, but also the Nido line, the Machamp line, and the Alakazam. Pretty odd that none of them are allowed. We have 59 missing Pokemon from Gen 1. Generation 2 missing, we only have 24. The only ones missing fully from, what not highlighted in red that haven't been in a new gen are the Ladybell line and the Unknowns. But there's a couple big ones missing here as well, that being Crobat, pretty big missing, Steelix is missing, the Togepi line's pretty big as well, and then the Legendaries, which, begs you to wonder, are we getting a Gen 2 remake of some sort or Legends game at some point as well? Pretty odd not getting Raikou, Entei, and Suicune in the game. A little weird that being that we have the Paradox forms of Suicune. So are we going to get Paradox, Entei, and Raikou at some point to counterbalance? But we have 24, like I said, not returning there. Generation 3 is a pretty big one for missing Pokemon, as well as Gen 1 and 5. Gen 3 is missing a lot of big hitters as well, that being the Reggies, the fossils are pretty big. Aggron is another really big one that we're missing. Roselia. And then again, all the red highlights are things that are missing total besides BDSP as this form. But we have 57 missing as well here. A little disappointing. Gen 4, 27 missing. There's actually not as many Gen 4 Pokemon missing as I thought. The biggest one to me and most noticeable being the missing of Roserade and probably Drapion. Those are two really big ones, but everything highlighted in red was again only in Legends and BDSP, so kind of upsetting that they haven't been allowed in a new generation yet. Gen 5, a lot of missing Pokemon here, that being 87. Granted, a lot of these Pokemon were featured in Pokemon Sword and Shield, so they were all obtainable there, but it's a little disappointing that they're still not allowed in this game. But also, with this many missing, it does make you think, are we getting an Unova Black and White remake of some form, especially with all those highlighted in red that haven't been on the Switch at all yet. So, a little odd, but there are a couple here that are kind of big that are missing. Also, to note, we do have the Swords of Justice down there, which is missing, which, again, they're Paradox forms. Makes you wonder if the other two, Terrakion and Cobalion, will also get Paradox forms. Well, Generation 6 missing, 25. The biggest one here being Aegislash and the Legendaries and the Fossils. Furfrou is also, yet again, still not on the Switch, stuck in Pokemon Home. Generation 7, 38 missing. We do have the Legendaries, which are pretty noticeable. I would say Meltan is another one that's kind of disappointing, because he's pretty interesting. And then Type Null as well, not allowed. It's kind of weird. But yeah, there's a couple that are not Legendaries, which are odd as well, that aren't in the game. And then Generation 8 being 24 not returning Pokemon, potentially with the Sirfetch'd as well on here. The Fossils not being in there is a little odd. Two big ones for me that I'm a little disappointed about is Bolton and Thievul. I really like them, and I'm a little sad that they're not allowed in here as well. But total missing Pokemon at the end of the day, with forms included, is 341 Pokemon that are not allowed in this set of games. It's quite a lot, actually, when you think about it. Like, the grand total at the end of the day of the Pokemon that will be allowed in Sword and Shield, or Scarlet and Violet, will probably be somewhere around the 700 mark, especially if they add any brand new Pokemon with the DLC besides the 5 that we've already seen. There's like 400 in the base game, not counting all their forms, and then we have the 323 returning, so we'll have about probably 700 or 800 at the end of the day. So these 300 still missing is kind of a shame, and they could make it work, especially if they roll them out in like little patches here and there that don't consist of DLCs, and they just get like thrown into DLC areas or the base game or something like that. So I don't know. Either way, very exciting news seeing these potential all returning Pokemon that we have being the 323. So let me know in the comments below, did one of your favorite make the game? Did they make the cut? Is some of your favorites still kicked out? Like for me, Aggron is still left out, which I'm a little upset about. But in total, 323 returning is not bad, as I would like the National Dex to be a part of the game and just allow all the 300 other Pokemon to be transfer only. It's kind of a shame. Hopefully going forward, those 300 missing do get the love that they need, being the updated models and textures and animations, whatever it is. Everything that is allowed and going to be in Scarlet and Violet should be ignored from now on, unless they make a specific drastic change to some sort of model or texture, and then at that point you don't need to go back and redo everything. If you update the, let's say, the metal texture again to make it even better, only go and update the metal Pokemon. Don't redo everybody because you updated one set of textures. Hopefully they could find a way to continue to like just bring everybody else forward after this generation, because like I said, I'm sick of the no national dex. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. Hopefully you found this video informative and entertaining in whatever way. And yeah, like I said, let me know in the comments what your thought is on all the returning. We got a lot, so pretty exciting. Can't wait for the DLC, and I will catch you guys all in whatever video I have next. So, oh, and if you haven't done so already, would always appreciate a like and subscribe on the channel. It does help me out a lot. I do greatly appreciate it. I got the action figure channel too if you're interested in reviews, and then Twitter if you want to follow those. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye.